That's a difficult part, choosing what you're going to set out to do. But I find that, I read a script, I ask myself, do I want to do these things? Is this interesting to me? Is this going to teach me something? Am I going to learn? Is this so different from me that it's interesting? Is this something that I know so well that it's interesting to go deeper into it? That's one thing. But movies aren't just about screenplays. They're about people. And most important is the director to me. So a director that I can trust, I can give myself to more fully. And I'm less self-conscious, and I can be a little looser with. I can be a little freer with. So the director is very important.
Well, then you think, and you don't, and it's very hard for actors, and I get caught up in that myself, where you have to do more, do something, and you don't have to do anything, nothing, and you're better off, and it'll work the way people are in life. They don't do anything.
This is really, when you're first starting out, is you have to act wherever you can. You can't be picky. You really have to act wherever you can, and wherever you get a chance to act, and that might even be just in an audition room. This is something a teacher told me years ago, and he's right. Even if you're auditioning for something that you know you're never going to get, or you might have read it and you might not even have liked it, but you know that you have to go, that if you get a chance to act in a room that somebody else has paid rent for, then you're given a free chance to practice your craft. And in that moment, you should act as well as you can, because if you leave the room or the theater or wherever you are and you've acted as well as you can, there's no way that the people who've watched you will forget it. And that was something that somebody told me a long time ago, and I do think that's the only advice, because it's always about that. It's always about the work at the end of the day. Everybody knows that.
Is you always have to approach a character as if you're creating a human being. Who is she? What does she live for? What does she want based on what she needs in life? A need is always just a basic thing, like the need to love, the need to control, the need, to heal. When you do all of that, and here's the last thing you gotta do, you gotta take a risk. So whatever you're thinking in your mind, make a bold choice. Even if you think you're running in the wrong direction, make a choice so bold and so out there, and maybe it'll stick.
If you're lucky enough to be in a business that you love to do, a creative one, and you make a living, I don't want to hear a complaint out of you. We're acting. Look at us. So every job that I work on, where I lead the cast, I try to set that example so that I don't want to hear any complaints from anyone. There's enough artistic frustration within. A joke's not landing. This is not working. Oh, we need to recast because this didn't work out, or there's enough problems to deal with. You should not be dealing with any kind of problems of I don't want to be here that early, or how late do we have to stay, or some actors who don't want to be off camera for another.
Word all actors use, relax. And that's having control over every part of their body, their minds, so that it doesn't wander, their imaginations, their face, the tone of their voice. When you have that total control over all your attributes, you are no longer being an ordinary person. You are then playing, you are then acting. And although it looks natural to the audience, if a member of the audience were to step up onto a stage and see a person playing in this way, once they got up to him, they would say, what's the matter with this guy? He's behaving very peculiarly. Seen up close to it. So it's all to do with distance.
Get nervous every time, all the time. And I think that nerves are actually a crucial part of acting, or at least some sense of the body preparing itself to do something unusual, which I think acting is. It's not like a normal thing. And so your body is saying, I think you're about to do something unusual, and that's what nerves are. And I think I read somewhere that it's been studied that the chemicals that your body releases when you're nervous are the same chemicals that your body releases when you're excited. So when I'm nervous, I remind myself I'm actually excited.
I wanted to do some work that felt as vital as my life, and those were going to be in drama. But I wasn't getting offered the drama. I went to my agent and said, look, tell them I'll take this pay cut. I'll work for a 10th of the price, a 20th of the price. I was like, buddy, they just don't want you. All right. So I said, if I cannot do what I want to do, I'm going to stop doing what I've been doing. And that was the hard decision. That was the tough one that Camilla and I made together.
So turn stuff down, you mean?
Yes. Just to turn the rom-coms down, the action adventures down. And I wasn't sure it was a good, but I was sure in my gut that it was the right thing to do because it felt right at 2 a.m. when I was all alone and scared. You know, I was like, no, stick with it. It's just going to be an endurance thing. But also, there's no guarantee. I thought I was maybe writing a one-way ticket out of Hollywood, and Hollywood was going to go, F you, dude. What are you talking about? You had your lane, man. You know,
Well,
later.
That's what Hollywood tends to do. So I can see why you would be anxious about that.
And I'd worked in all sorts of places, all over Europe in different languages, singing, acting, sweeping the stage, working in rep, working in the theatre. In other words, learning, something that sadly, few young actors and actresses are prepared to do these days. So many of them are stars before they even make their first film. And you know when you look at them on the screen that they are looking in a mirror, absolutely in a mirror. And it's beginning of a lifelong romance. And their hand is out underneath the mirror, out of shot. Because that's what they want, rich. To be rich and famous immediately, which is terribly sad and extremely dangerous. The most dangerous thing that a young actor or actress can do is to believe their own publicity.
Film acting have to be naturalistic.
You got to know what movie you're in.
Yeah,
I think you got to know what story you're telling. Because
Exactly.
there's an aesthetic. Look, we got, 2 categories? Drama, comedy. Under that, there's all these branches of an aesthetic and tone, and you have to leave space for the director's voice, the writer's voice, the actors.
How did that work on Moonlight? I'm really curious about that, because that's a...
For me, that's the closest you would get to doing documentary film. You want to feel like it's real, you know? Other projects, you don't want that degree of realism like that. You want to always be conscious of what film you're in. You always want to know what play you're in, what story you're telling. And I think in through listening, I think your compass guides you to what world that is.
Laurence Olivier said the same thing when I was working at the Vic. He said economize. He said, because if you hit the ceiling all the time, the audience gets dull. They may as well go to the pub and get drunk next door. So he said, don't show too much, just contain. But I never understood that, and as the years have gone by, it's sort of it's happened for me. I understand that the less you show, the less is more. But you have to have the power or reserve inside. But the less you show, you let the audience do the work. And it's a trick, I guess, or it's something that came to me. But it's not even a conscious technique of... I just find it easier now to be still. I find that now, by relaxing and enjoying this moment in my life, I find that things are getting easier. Acting gets easier for me because it's none of my business, really. I think there's so much value in the subconscious mind. And Stanislavski always talked about that. I'm sure Lee Strasberg talked about it. Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner, they talk about relaxing, being in charge of your instrument, being open so that the power can flow through you. Whether you're an actor, a painter, or a musician, or an airline pilot. You can't be tense. It's a whole principle of life. If you're relaxed, chances is that good things will come to you. If you're uptight and, I think you frighten things away if you're constantly aggression and uptight.
Pacino told me that was he directed my first film, and he said that for film, it has to be real. So whatever you are feeling, the camera's an extension. It can see more into you than your scene partner. And so to look at it not like it's a separate thing, but it's part of your body almost. It has a direct link to your soul. So whatever you're feeling, you can try to hide it, but the camera's going to get it. So it's the sense of once you allow that and allow yourself to hide a little bit if you want, but it's still going to see it anyway. And whatever you are feeling, that's what the character's feeling. And I was so lucky that was my first film, because I was afraid to go from I started in theater, and I was afraid to go from theater to film because I thought there was going to be a big difference in the acting, and that advice changed everything for me.
Tell young actors, turn up on time, be early, and know the lines. When I arrive on the set, I've done my homework and I'm ready to work. And I've noticed occasionally there are people that think they're a little lazy and that they can wing it. You've got to be incredibly talented to be able to wing it, you know. But that would be my advice to people. Just be early and ready to work.